Hey man, this is crazy. I cannot believe I am recording this video in this nature. First and foremost, the game goes to overtime after the Knicks were up by 17 points in the fourth quarter, bro. They were up by what? Anywhere between 14 and 17 points, and the game goes into overtime because Aaron Nesmith just absolutely turned into Damian Lillard with the degree of difficulty of the shots that he was hitting in his game. Over defenders, off of the dribble, off the catch. Like, it was ridiculous how he was able to catch fire in just such a short period of time. And in just 2 minutes and 38 seconds in the back end of that quarter, of that fourth quarter, the Pacers scored 17 points to the New York Knicks 6 points. Aaron Nesmith hit 6 threes in this quarter. 6 threes in that quarter alone, giving him 20 points, bro. That is one of the most insane quarters I've ever seen from a player of that caliber. We seen Gary Trent have his games earlier on in the playoffs, but they didn't really amount to anything, obviously because in the one game they lost in the overtime to this Indiana Pacers team. But I just want to give a huge shout out to Tyrese Haliburton, bro. The shot he hit, bro, after damn near turning the ball over, realizing that the time was damn near expired, and having to turn around, having the wherewithal to turn around and get that shot off the way that he did, and was able to score the basketball like that. Insane. That's insane, and I am very, very excited to see how the rest of this series turns out. Even in overtime, it was a back and forth affair. Lead change after lead change after lead change. Just in the back end of that fourth quarter, the Knicks turning the ball over. Overtime, Jalen Brunson turned the ball over a couple times. Andrew Nembhard hitting some really big shots, getting to the rim, finishing through contact. Obi Toppin getting a huge putback dunk that gave Indiana the lead, and then they put another bucket on the board. Pascal Siakam did not play great in this game whatsoever, but when you consider what you got from Aaron Nesmith in the fourth quarter, Andrew Nembhard in overtime, as well as Obi Toppin giving you some very valuable minutes in that fourth quarter and overtime period, the Pacers came out on top in a game where they were not supposed to win. The Knicks had full control of this game in the fourth quarter. Really, if you really want to go back to that third quarter where they were able to garner that lead, that early part of the fourth quarter where they were able to get that lead with Jalen Brunson on the bench going on that run, it really felt like kind of reminiscent of that Pistons game where they were able to go on that 21-0 run in the fourth quarter and really take control of the game and seal the deal for themselves. And it really felt as if for the Pacers, this was reminiscent of Game 2 when Donovan Mitchell scored 48 points and they were able to make that 7-8 point comeback, whatever it was, in that last 40 or so seconds of the game. This was an amazing game from start to finish. The Pacers, first and foremost, kicked the game off 9 for 9 from the field. Just absolutely ripping the nets after having 8 days off, being very, very fresh. The New York Knicks also started off the game really hot. Not perfect like the Pacers were, but very, very hot. There was back and forth scoring. There was over 60 points scored in the first quarter. I really liked what I saw from both big men on both sides of the floor, especially Miles Turner, how he was able to catch fire, 5 for 5 in that first quarter, 11 points, hitting shots from all over the court, whether it was a mid-range, getting to the rim and getting that dunk off of a Haliburton slip assist, or hitting a couple threes that he did. The three that he did from about 27 to 28 feet. I really, really enjoy watching that matchup in the first half. Karl-Anthony Towns had 8 points in the first quarter, tried to match the production of Miles Turner, but not forcing the issue, taking comfortable shots within the flow of the offense, taking rhythm shots that, he normally hits and scoring the ball where he likes to get his baskets from. His scoring and aggressiveness in that aspect, as we saw throughout the entire game where he was able to score over 30 points, is going to be very, very huge for this Knicks team if they want to be able to advance to the finals. Obviously, there has to be some tweaking in his shot selection when you talk about how far he does shoot the threes, like on that last possession where they did have the chance off the Josh Hart offensive rebound to possibly get another opportunity at a basket. He shot the ball. He didn't have to shoot the ball off the catch the way that he did. He has hit a few of those throughout this playoff series, throughout this postseason, but I didn't like that shot selection, so to speak. But off of the negative of Towns in that first half, especially in the first quarter. I thought both Turner and Towns throughout the playoffs really showed, especially like I said in that first quarter, what it really means to be or what showing the worth of what a stretch big is, putting it on the forefront for everybody to see. Throughout their respective series, obviously not to the levels of a Haliburton or Jalen Brunson, but being stars in their roles as those stretch bigs, playing a little bit of defense for Miles Turner, getting a couple blocks here and there. Karl Anthony Towns can play some decent defense if he's not fouling, but defense. So now that I mentioned that, defense in that first quarter did not really matter, as either side was scoring plentiful baskets, friendly rims, or just really well rested players playing at their best on the big stage. But I felt like in early on in this game, I felt this way, and it showed its head really in that fourth quarter and overtime that the full court pressure from the Pacers will be better than it was from the Detroit Pistons, although the Pistons did a hell of a job on Jalen Brunson and doing what they had to do. Indiana has much bigger players, especially in the guard position, that do play very good defense that they can throw at Jalen Brunson, like an Aaron Nesmith that we saw get Brunson hella trouble in his game. Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathurin, or even that Pascal Siakam could go out there for a couple possessions and get a stop on a Jalen Brunson, just using his size and his foot speed to deter Brunson from getting past him. He also has the length in his arm and his wingspan, so if Brunson wants to go up for a quick jumper, he can possibly get a hand on it and tip the ball off, get a block in that regard. And we saw that, like I said, throughout the majority of this game. Not more so mostly from Pascal, mostly from a guy like Aaron Nesmith, Benedict Mathurin when he did get his burn. Ben Shepherd got a couple minutes on Jalen Brunson early in that fourth quarter as well. So early or late in the fourth quarter. It's late for me. It's 11:30 right now. I'm tired as hell. I've been up since 6 this morning. But I really like the way, speaking of big men from earlier, Towns and Miles Turner, I really like the impact that Mitchell Robinson has been able to have in this playoffs for the New York Knicks. He's low-key been the second best player, like 2B, right there with Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs for the Knicks, aside from the hack and Shaq situation that went on against the Celtics. As you can see, when he is actually on the floor for long stretches of time, the impact that he can have on a game defensively, offensive rebounding, getting second chance possessions, keeping possessions alive. Most notably in this game, in the first quarter, out rebounded the Indiana Pacers offensively 3-0, just absolutely beasting and feasting them in the paint, and just maintaining that poise and that focus all game. How many did he end with? I want to say maybe 6 offensive rebounds for the game. And they got to keep that up. Not only was he offensive rebound, he ended up with 4 offensive rebounds for the game. Mikal Bridges as well is a guy that I noticed was also crashing that offensive glass and just keeping possessions alive for the Knicks. In that first half, Brunson, Bridges, and Towns combined first quarter, Brunson, Bridges, and Towns combined for 25 to 35 points. And then when you can combine Mitchell Robinson's contributions in that, they got the building rocking, and they were able to be the catalyst for that 14-5 run that they were able to end the quarter with and take that one possession lead, giving them that momentum. I thought that they had shown that they had been resilient all playoffs long, and they can just catch fire and spark a run just like that. 13-1 run midway through that second quarter, and that really opened up the game for them. And the Pacers were not able to gain a lead up until that overtime period when they scored the first basket. It's late. They scored. I want to say they did score the first basket in overtime to take the lead, which was their first lead since leading 45-44 in that second quarter, where the Knicks was able to go on that run. by just creating opportunities off of turnovers and hitting timely shots, putting the Pacers' backs against the wall, and all of that without Brunson on the floor. That was the first time that they had done it without Brunson on the floor in this game, and then another time in the fourth quarter, which led me to believe that this game was in the Knicks' hands. They really had control of this game, but that was not the case because we got another fourth quarter masterclass from the Indiana Pacers defensively and hitting the shots that they needed to hit. This game was over with. I was about to turn this game off and start recording my video. The Pacers were down 16, I think, with 2.5 minutes to go, and Aaron Nesmith did what he did, and Tyrese Haliburton got them into overtime and was able to help them win the game. This is the second game where Haliburton gets them to overtime off of a shot like that. No, he got a layup against Giannis, but either way, this is the second overtime game where Haliburton was responsible for getting them there with the shot to get to tie the game, and the team was able to come together and win it in overtime. Very, very impressed by the way the Pacers are able to hold themselves, maintain their poise when they are down, and not ever think that the game is over. I thought that the aggression that Tyrese had late in the second quarter, finally get some shots to go, really was very valuable for what the Pacers needed, with their team kind of, falling behind. Didn't want them to drown too much, so he got some tough looks in that first quarter, didn't get them to go, contested. I think he went 0 for 3 in the first quarter, but he got his shot, got his rhythm to go. Kind of looking like Game 5 against the Cavs, where he didn't really have a great scoring first quarter, but then the second got his rhythm and was able to find his shot. No, he didn't go 0 for 3 in the first quarter. He scored a couple baskets. 10 in the second quarter, 14 for the first half. Like I said, in that second quarter, like he did in Game 5 against the Cavs, just going to work and, against that drop coverage from the defense, taking advantage of that, scored the final 10 points for the Pacers in that second quarter going into halftime. The Pacers bench, had 16 points at halftime. The Knicks had 13 points at halftime, and a lot of that had to do with Miles McBride. Cameron Payne got a couple shots to go in that second quarter, and Mitchell Robinson's play as well, got a basket or two. 45 of their 69 points came from those same guys that went to work in the first quarter. They held it down again in the second quarter. Brunson, of course, Towns got his shot to start falling, and Mikal had the midi on lock. And then the Knicks in this playoffs, which I thought was a very surprising stat, and it led me to believe that, especially with all that we saw going on in that fourth quarter, that this game would have been over. Heading into the fourth quarter, when the Knicks were leading, they had a 4-0 record before this game. They were only led by 3 points going into the fourth, but a lead nonetheless, which, based off of the statistic I just gave you, would lead you to believe that they were going to go 5-0. Being up 17 points. Like, this was a game that they should not have lost. The Pacers started playing sloppy on defense and allowed the Knicks to gain that separation with Jalen Brunson on the bench with his 5 fouls. They had back-to-back possessions where Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith both fouled three-point shooters, and New York was able to spin a 14-0 run that was jump-started by OG Anunoby hitting a really big three, and then he hit another shot at the rim and really got it going for the Knicks. Without Mr. Clutch Player of the Year, the best fourth quarter player in this playoffs, aside from Tyrese Haliburton. I keep mentioning both of them together whenever I mention Clutch in the fourth quarter in the playoffs, because as you can see, it is prevalent that both of these players are like that. And this is exactly the kind of game that I was expecting from both of these guys, coming up big for their teams when it mattered the most. Tyrese Haliburton, like I said, had 14 points in that first half. He ended the game with 31 points. Like, he did. He had a slow third quarter. In that back end of the fourth quarter, he got a couple baskets. And then in overtime, got some really clutch baskets as well. Got a really tough finish, and that should have been an and one. I forget who contested it, but that put them up by 3. So I really enjoyed the game that we saw from Tyrese Haliburton and Jalen Brunson. Brunson ended up with 43 points on 15 of 25 shooting. Couldn't get a three-point shot to fall, 1 of 6, but was getting to the line, 12 of 14. Hit some really nice free throws in this game. Towns ended up with 35 points, 12 rebounds, a couple assists. He was 11 of 17 from the field, 50% from downtown, 4 of 8 on his opportunities. And I thought OG had a really slow start in this game. He did not look like he was locked in whatsoever. He had a play where he boggled the ball off of a Karl Anthony Towns behind the back pass. He juggles the ball, then makes his move to a drive. He bumps into Pascal, damn near falls over, and then he tries to pass it to Mikal in the corner, and it almost gets stolen by 3's Haliburton. He did not have a very good first half whatsoever. Just not really engaged, and it didn't hurt the Knicks as much as it probably should have, because they got some bench production, which they haven't typically gotten throughout the playoffs. They were able to go into the half with a 7-point lead, and OG only had maybe 4 or 6 points at that time. So for him to end the game with 16 points, like I said, he sparked that run for the Knicks. Obviously, his defense was great all game, 3 steals and 3 blocks to finish it off. But for him to end up with 16 points, if he would have kept that aggression or was just able to hit a shot, he went 6 of 15, 2 of 8 from 3. A lot of the threes that he took were really, really bad. Not really, really bad, but not really good either. He was really just missing. He had the transition layup that he missed that was wide open. Towns threw a nice pass. He kind of overthrew it, but he was still able to corral the ball and get a good look at the rim. I feel like he just overthought it. Like whoever, may have been Miles Turner or Obi Toppin trailing him, and he thought he would have gotten blocked. He ended up missing a wide open layup. Those are the plays that you cannot have blunders on. As you can see, going into overtime, obviously different things can happen throughout the game where just that possession doesn't determine the game. But, missed free throws down the stretch from Towns. I think, OG missed one as well. Jalen Brunson may have even missed one as well. Like, these are very critical aspects of the game that you really have to lock into. Mikal Bridges had a really solid first half, like I mentioned earlier, but didn't disappear throughout the majority of the second half, not really being productive offensively, giving him much of anything. 8 of 16 from the field, but a guy that is known for his three-point shooting volume only took, and his three-point shooting ability, just 0 for 1 for the game. Like, y'all, he got the mid-range shot to fall. Don't get me wrong. He was getting a couple baskets at the rim too, but you don't go away from what's working. Like I mentioned earlier in the video that the Minnesota Timberwolves were doing and that the Cavaliers did against the Pacers in Game 5. You don't go away from what's working, and you see how that affects you down the line. Josh Hart played a really solid game. Only 8 points, but 13 rebounds, 7 assists. Only 6 shot attempts. Josh Hart, I don't know, man. He just doesn't really look for scoring opportunities a lot of times where I feel like he can. In that first half, he actually did score the ball pretty decently with his 8 points. That may have been the only time he did score was in the first half, but man, this is not a game that you're supposed to lose. Off the bench, TJ McConnell was great for the Pacers. Thomas Bryant in his 12 or 13 minutes did a pretty decent job, I guess. Obi Toppin had some really, really clutch rebounds and putbacks in his game. 8 points for him in 19 and a half minutes. Benedict Mathurin didn't have the greatest game. 2 of 5 from the floor. Just 9 points and 3 rebounds, but he was solid in his time as well. For a total of, 12, 22... 31 points off the bench. That is very, very solid for the Indiana Pacers. And then for the Knicks, after having 13 first half points, I think it was, they ended the game with just 17. So the bench scoring absolutely fell apart. It went to a lot of Brunson and Towns in that second half, especially in that fourth quarter. Towns gave you, 14 points? So, man, this is just not a game that you lose, bro. Nesmith ended up with 30 points. Pascal with 17 points on 16 shots. Hold him to a point a shot that I heard Richard Jefferson say last night in the game. Like, that's really, really what you want to do with star players. If you can hold them to a point per shot, then you did a really good job on that player. Miles Turner had a very, very quiet second half. Ended the game with just 14 after he started off the game in the first quarter with 11 points. And then 31 for Haliburton, 11 assists as well, getting his double-double, doing what he does best. And then Andrew Nembhard hitting timely shots throughout this game, and his defense was great too. Yeah, bro, this is just not a game that the Knicks are supposed to lose. Up 17 in the fourth quarter. Y'all looking like the Boston Celtics right now, bro. A team that y'all just... I can't even say that. I can't even say that because the Pacers have just been doing this all postseason long, man. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, bro. It's 11:35. I am tired. I still have to edit this and upload it, so I will catch y'all tomorrow. when the OKC. Oh, my boy Shea won MVP. What? I didn't say that to start off the video. I forgot because the shit been so the game was so crazy. My boy Shea was crowned MVP. I might get a little short out tomorrow, doing a little promo on his MVP or whatever it is. But yeah, bro, appreciate y'all tuning in. This has been a very exciting playoffs. Like I said, one of the most exciting playoffs that we have seen all decade, and it's only gonna get better from here, man. But as always, Reese the Sideliner. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.